Hello, Gary Stearman of Prophecy Watchers. Stay with us. You're in for a treat. Author and lecturer Bill Salas is with us, and he's got a lot to say. And today, he wants to tell you about something he has developed, which I think is a great idea, Bill. Welcome to Prophecy Watchers.
Thanks, Gary. A critical time to be alive, and a lot of important information we want to impart in this show.
Well, you know, there is something in the air. And I'll just leave it at that. There is sort of a feeling of instability, not the old certainty we had, you know, in the America of 10, 15, 20 years ago. Things are loosening up, and people are saying, are we at a crucial time in history? Maybe one of those crucial times spoken of by the prophets. And of course, I know exactly what your answer is.
Yeah, well, and we've had this discussion, and I believe that the pandemic and the things we're seeing that's going on in this country has made it real clear that we have moved really close to that down the end times line. We're almost getting closer to that tribulation period. All the signs are converging, pointing in that direction. So you and I are thinking Jesus is going to be coming real soon. We know it's imminent, and therefore we're trying to prepare people to live holy lives and witness and share with their loved ones about what's critically on the timeline right now, because powerful events are coming.
And in your books, you have written the kind of characterizations of how things might unfold and what might happen to people after the rapture. And today we're going to be talking about exactly that. This period after the rapture, there will be millions of people walking around without a clue, but they'll be in a state of panic. And a lot of them, Bill, and you take these people into account, a lot of them may have heard about Christianity, but they never accepted Christ. And so they find themselves wandering around post-trib and looking for someone with answers. And that's where you come in.
Right, and survival during the tribulation period, or after the rapture, is going to depend on someone's ability to, a saved individual is going to try to survive that. They need to accept Christ. They need to discern biblical prophecies. They need to anticipate their arrival. And they need to prepare for them when they happen. Otherwise, they won't make it through what's coming.
Right.
And the Bible has so much to say about to those people, about what's coming from God to them, direct connection to them, telling them what's going to happen so they can be prepared.
Absolutely, and there will be a kind of an interesting series of developments. I guess interesting is one word you could use. Terrifying is the big word. But there are some people after the tribulation, they are labeled the souls under the altar. And they are crying out, "How long, O Lord? How long, O Lord?" And basically what they want to know is how much longer is everything going to be in a state of uproar until there is resolution, until you come to straighten everything out. That's a class of people, not just the people under the altar, but the people wandering the surface of the planet are going to have that question, and they need help.
Right, and the individuals you're talking about are actually people who got left behind, loved ones we may know and care about in our sphere of influence, family members, who actually received Jesus Christ after the rapture. They're the fifth seal saints, we talk about them. And they're asking that question. They're very concerned about what's going on. And their answer is given to them from God is that you must rest a little while longer. Now, they died for their faith and the word of the testimony of Jesus Christ.
But they acquired their faith post-rapture.
Post-rapture, that's the good news. There will be people, and Revelation 7 says there will be a multitude from every tribe, tongue, and nation of people who do get saved after the rapture. But the answer they get is you must rest a little while longer until the people who will be killed like you are for their faith, the fellow servants, and the brethren of the fellow servants. So he's talking about 3 different periods of Christian martyrdom after the rapture.
Now, Bill has been interested in, I guess you could say, the serial development of events surrounding the end of the church age, the rapture of the church, that post-rapture period, which in a way is a kind of a mysterious period, and you have to sort of unravel a lot of thoughts to find out what's going on there sequentially. But this has led you to say to yourself, there will be a real need after the church is gone, and maybe I could fill a part of that need?
Right, Gary. I really feel called, that my calling was to sequence the biblical prophecies between now, that could happen at the present time, all the way through the tribulation to the second coming of Jesus Christ, and now even a fifth book in the ending of this book series, into the millennium. And so that people can know and understand, they're written for the layman, they're a witnessing tool, they're evangelical and eschatological. And I felt that that's what God wanted me to do, lay it out there. I've even dramatized it in novels, but I've also got this whole book series that we're going to include in this kit we'll be talking about, that tell people, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, how to prepare for it, sequentially and written so that even the common person can understand.
Well, there's the old saw about the thing that the picture that hangs on the wall with a sign, and it says, in case of rapture, break glass. And you break glass, and maybe there's a letter from Aunt Millie in there. And you open it up, and she says, "You have missed the rapture. Now here's what you need to do." And she wrote that to her nephew, Billy. And there are all kinds of things that people have thought of along those lines, but you, being of a systematic mentality, in other words, you like to put things together sequentially and so that they can be understood, have put together something a little bit more informative than Aunt Millie's letter to her nephew.
Right, and well, some people, of course, are very concerned about the loved ones who get left behind, their ability to survive through the 7 years of tribulation. There's actually a little interim period after the rapture until the tribulation called a gap, because it's not the rapture that starts the tribulation, it's the confirmation of the false covenant in Daniel 9, chapter 27. And they're concerned about, they want some food and water, and they're even what we call them tribulation biscuits or food supplies. But it's going to be very difficult for people going through that time when all these judgments are starting to happen, seal judgments, trumpet judgments, bowl judgments, the harlot world religion is coming after Christians, the Antichrist is beheading Christians. It's going to be hard to be lugging around 7 years worth of food. And ultimately, the main concern of a loved one for someone who they are concerned are going to get left behind is their salvation more than their survival. They're going to be concerned that they can get saved quickly. If they happen to maybe survive through the 3 periods of Christian martyrdom, if they're so fortunate to get through that and the odds are not in their favor, they could actually become a sheep Gentile. That at the very end, when Jesus returns, he has in Matthew 25 this judgment, and the sheep Gentiles are the people who are the righteous ones who made it through the tribulation, who get saved and go into the millennium. So ultimately the goal is escort your loved one from after the rapture all the way through those 3 periods of martyrdom to become a sheep Gentile and go into the millennium. But the bottom line is many of them will not make it. They'll be martyred along the way, and therefore the main thing we want to do is get them saved quickly. And this survival kit for those left behind is intended to do that, evangelize them.
Now, I've known Bill for quite a while now, and I know how he thinks, and he thinks methodically. And he's always trying to find the answer to a problem. But usually when Bill finds the answer to a problem, it runs to several pages, and you go through all those details. And the good part of that, Bill, that I find very, very useful is that you think of things that other people just don't think of. And in eschatology, that is very important, because a lot of people sort of simplify. Well, there's going to be the rapture, and then the tribulation, and then the kingdom, and that's all I need to know. It's far more complex than that, and the way to help people who are left behind is also going to be complex, right?
Yeah, so I try to put my feet into their shoes, and I try to understand what is the prophecies God wants them to know, and how can they be simplified and understood by them, not because because for the primary purpose that God wants them to be able to understand that He's given this information, He loves them, He wants them to come into His family, and He wants to protect them through the tribulation. So these events that are coming, there's great details, the seal judgments, there's be wars and famines. Now someone needs to know in advance these things are coming. They can prepare for them. They need to know that there's going to be agriculture and vegetation is going to be burned, and oceans are going to turn to blood. In the trumpet judgments, there'll be fresh waters, the trumpets and the bowls will turn to blood. There'll be scorching heat in the bowl judgments. You need to know these things in advance so you can prepare for these things. And all the while, Christians are going to be hunted down by the harlot who's going to be drunk with the blood of the saints and the martyrs of Jesus. Revelation 17:6, a global religion. They're going to have to duck and cover for the Antichrist, who's going to, if you don't take his mark in Revelation 13, and your right hand are upon your forehead, you won't be able to survive by yourself. He's going to be beheading people who don't take his mark, Christians, Revelation 20, verse 4. I mean, these are traumatic events, and all of us have loved ones, and we're very concerned that they might get left behind. We're trying to witness to them, but some of them are saying, I don't want to hear it anymore. So what we've prepared for them is a gift. You can, if you can't evangelize to your loved one, they're not willing to listen to it anymore, or you feel like you're maybe not the best evangelist, the survival kit for those left behind is a friend indeed, a gift in need. So what'll happen is you can say, look, at least let me direct your attention to this kit. If I'm gone, if Christ comes and takes me out and you see millions of Christians are gone, you need to have this. This is an extension of my love, a reflection of my wisdom to you. And you can take this kit and it can get through. You can have, because man does not live by bread alone.
Yeah.
It says in Matthew 1-4, Christ even said, you live by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. You need spiritual food, not bread alone, to get through the tribulation.
You are listening to author, lecturer Bill Salas, and we're going to talk about that spiritual survival kit in just a minute. But first, Bill is one of the contributing authors very often to The Prophecy Watcher, our monthly magazine, and I want to just take a brief break to let you know how you can subscribe to The Prophecy Watcher.
Every day, the ancient prophecies of the Bible get more and more exciting as we watch world events come into perfect alignment with the words of the ancient prophets. Examine the pre-trib rapture doctrine taught by the Apostle Paul. Come to a deeper understanding of the giants of Genesis 6 and the real reason for the flood of Noah. Read the shocking things we see coming out of the world of science and technology, mind-blowing advances in transhumanism and artificial intelligence. Keep a close eye for a series of wars coming very soon to the Middle East. We have a very special subscription offer for you today. For your gift of $50 or more to support the worldwide outreach of Prophecy Watchers, you can subscribe to either the digital version or the print version of our magazine. And here's the best part. In addition to receiving 12 monthly issues of the magazine, this offer comes with a fantastic bonus: 8 DVDs from some of the leading prophecy experts in the world today. 8 DVDs plus 12 issues of the magazine represents a $200 value. But it's available today for your gift of just $50 or more to support the work of Prophecy Watchers. This offer is available anywhere in the USA and will ship both the magazine and the DVDs absolutely free. Don't wait or hesitate. Call the toll-free number on your screen or visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv to take advantage of this limited time offer. Looking at the future through the lens of Bible prophecy is the entire focus of this ministry. We're motivated like never before by our desire to tell the world that Jesus is the only answer for these troubling times. And we do believe that he's coming back very soon, just as he promised. Partner with us today. Help us take God's message of salvation through Jesus Christ to the whole world.
Well, thanks in advance for joining us through your subscription to The Prophecy Watcher. And now I've been kind of saving the best for the last here because Bill Salas has done a very good thing, I think, and in great detail, and he has provided information to people who will someday really, really need that information. And you've gone through a sequence of complex thinking about, like, what should I do? What should we leave people? What will they need to know? And you've put it in that spiritual survival kit.
Right. The spiritual survival kit for those left behind is designed to navigate people to the Lord after the rapture. And even before, one of the books is the Now Prophecies, could happen even before the rapture, some of these events, and then guide them through the tribulation period as we were stating. I'd like to show you what we would get. There's a box that you get in the mail. It stands out. You can introduce it to your loved one. You can put it somewhere where they will know to go, and after the rapture, they will be looking for information.
Well, I'll just read the box. Spiritual survival kit for those left behind after the rapture. 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 14 through 17. So it leads you right away to the key verse that you'll need to understand. And then the contents of this kit are printed right here on the box. And I like the yellow. It's going
designed
to
to stand
out. Yeah.
And so when someone comes to look for this, mom has introduced it or dad has introduced it to their child or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to be in different mindsets. Well, the rapture's happened. Well, they were right. Millions of Christians have just disappeared. That was the rapture. What did mom want me to know, or my loved one want me to know? I'm going to read through this because she left it behind specifically for that purpose. Now, there will be other people who are going to say, I need to get my hands on that box because even though I think that could be the rapture, there's other arguments coming out there that, are pretty sound, because, Satan's going to have his deception coming at people.
Satanic propaganda.
That's right. So they're going to want to say, I need to know, was that really the rapture? Because, and what else is going to happen next? Because if that was predicted, then there's other things I need to know as well. So when they open the box, what's going to transpire is they're going to see the content of the box inside of it.
And there it comes.
Okay.
Right there.
So they're going to open the box, and the first thing they're going to see is a picture of the four horsemen on the apocalypse and the contents inside of the box. And it says on here, this is a biblical chronology of God's coming wrath. It says in Colossians 3:6, God's wrath will be coming on the sons of disobedience. And the first thing they're going to get when they open the box is they're going to see the now prophecies on the top. And they're going to see that on the cover it starts talking about prophecies that they may have already seen happen. The destruction of Damascus, a disaster in Iran, the vanishing of the Christians. They're going to go, whoa, this is going to add credibility to the very first book they get. And these will come in the books I'm going to talk about, but it'll also come in the DVD alternatives if you prefer to have a DVD. And then they're going to come through and they're going to see the next prophecies book, which talk about the prophecies that could happen after the rapture. The now prophecies are the prophecies that could happen at the present time. They lack preconditions. The next prophecies happen after the rapture. They're coming, but they have a few minor preconditions. Then they're going to see the last prophecies, which takes you into the first half of the 3 years, first 3.5 years of the tribulation period. And the final prophecies take you into the second 3.5 years of the tribulation period. Then lastly, the good news will be the millennium prophecies, which will talk about the good news of what happens if they can make it all the way through, and or if they save people will also be in the millennium as well. The good news, when Christ comes and restores the planet for the 1,000-year millennium. We also include a New King James Bible, so they can read the Bible along with the commentaries and the books. Mm-hmm. And a letter I'm going to include in there as instructions as to what the box is intended for and how to use it best.
Wow, that sounds rather complete. And as Bill always does things, he's methodical and thinks about all the questions in advance. I'm thinking about your novels that you've written in the past. Where you lay out scenarios and you bring in the lives of people who undergo various tragedies and challenges and so forth. And you've done a really good job of that. Now, I see that being sort of condensed into this kit.
Right. Like I said, I want to put my feet in their shoes. So I have written several novels. The latest one is the Apocalypse Revelations. And what we're doing is we're taking people from the now prophecies, the destruction of Damascus, the rapture of the church, taking an American family and a Jewish family on through Ezekiel 38 on into the beginning of the tribulation. It's one thing to talk about Bible prophecies across the table. It's another thing to actually experience them when they happen. How will they affect us? How will they affect an American family and a Jewish family as the Middle East explodes? As there's a disaster in Iran, as Russia's coming down with its troops to take out Israel, invading for plunder and booty. What about the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict? How will that affect us? How will it affect those left behind when those other prophecies happen?
Now, somebody's listening and they heard you mention some post-rapture time periods, the false covenant, the 10 kings, the harlot killing the fifth seal saints and who are under the altar. You mentioned all of these events, and I'm sure that some people say, wow, that's too confusing for me. I don't know whether I can ever keep all these things straight or not. But I just wanted to emphasize that you've gone the extra mile to make sure that these are clearly laid out.
Right, and I understand the complexity of it. My goal has been to simplify the complex nature of Bible prophecy, to present a clear biblical narrative and prophetic perspective in contrast to the secular worldview with all of its fake news now.
Yeah.
Now, your loved ones are watching the same news you're watching. You're getting concerned that we are deep onto the end times line now. They may not understand what we are talking about or believe that just yet, but they're watching the same news and they're getting very concerned about the same thing. So they're becoming more and more receptive to receiving this. So when I go through these books, I put timelines, I put images, I put proper common explanations that are easy to understand as to what these periods of martyrdom are, because your loved one is probably going to go through them if we're that close on the timeline and they get left behind. They're going to experience these things. And it's a martyrdom period. There's two different Christian killing crusades that happen after the rapture. There's the harlot we talked about that's going to, in the first half of the tribulation, she's going to overextend her usefulness, and the 10 kings in Revelation 17:16 are going to desolate her at the bequest of the Antichrist. And then he's going to come in with his whole show where he wants to be worshipped. You can't buy or sell without his mark, and he will behead those who don't comply. Christians, namely, in Revelation 20, verse 4. So we're talking about critical times on the horizon, probably the very nearby horizon, that we want your loved ones to know about and be prepared for, or they won't survive through it. And they need to be saved. That's our main goal. Get them saved and then get them survived.
Bill, you've really done something here, and it took a lot of work, I'm sure. If you'd like to see exactly what we're talking about, let's just pause for a moment and show you the Spiritual Survival Kit.
It's been almost 8 years since Prophecy Watchers launched our worldwide television ministry. Our relationship with Bill Salus goes back even further, as we've watched him become one of the world's leading authorities on Bible prophecy. Over time, Bill has produced a series of DVDs that will take his readers on a to Z end times journey. It's your ticket to every future prophetic event described in the Bible. How does someone unfamiliar with the world of Bible prophecy keep all these end time events straight? If you're new to Prophecy Watchers, you know that we teach a pre-tribulation rapture. Revelation 3:10 tells us we can escape the terrible time that is coming upon the earth. The tribulation is a time when God judges our increasingly wicked world. While we believe that Jesus will rapture us before his wrath comes, we can't help but think about those people left behind. After the rapture, we expect a great revival as people realize what has happened. Panic will quickly set in, and our family and friends who've been left behind will be searching for answers. Enter Bill's End Time Survival Kit. It contains 5 of Bill's most important studies on DVD, documenting what's next on the horizon. While it's designed for those left behind after the rapture, I suspect many people will want to avail themselves of this survival kit before the tribulation. Why would anyone want to be left behind when the glories of heaven await those who've trusted Jesus as Savior? Bill's Rapture Kit contains all 5 DVDs and a New King James Bible. It's available for your gift of $79.95 or more, with shipping included anywhere in the USA. It also includes a one-of-a-kind free bonus, Tim LaHaye's very last prophecy message, delivered shortly before he was promoted to glory at 90 years of age. Tim provided a crystal clear message on Bible prophecy and how to be certain you're going to heaven. This is our mission at Prophecy Watchers, doing whatever we can to keep people out of the tribulation. Bill Salus shares our passion for the rapture, but most of all for those who will be left behind to endure the tribulation. You can get your own survival kit by calling the toll-free number on your screen 24/7 and asking for the Bill Salus Survival Kit, or visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. Keep it for yourself, share it with others now, or leave it behind so when Jesus calls us home, others can still get the good news and instructions for the future. Thanks for watching today. We believe that Jesus is coming very soon. Remember, the only thing you can take with you to heaven is your family and friends, so make sure they know the way.
And I hope you'll take advantage of that offer. I'm sure you know someone who needs to know about the things that are in this kit. And I'm going to hand this back to you, Bill. And
All right, Gary.
at the same time, I want to ask, there are people out there who are saying to themselves right now, wow, that's complicated. And I know some people who could use this information, but is this going to be easy to use? Is it something that they can really use and they'll discover there what they need to know?
Yeah, it's designed in that fashion. It's easily presented. You get to a point where you're mentioning to your loved one, as much as open-minded as they may not be willing to listen to much more about Jesus or the rapture or the end times. So you can simply say, I have a gift for you here that, if something I have been saying happens, or if we disappear, this will be available for you, and you find a location, be it by your safe or in your library or somewhere that they can know where to go, and they will be blessed to get through the tribulation and the days after the rapture with this survival kit. And they'll have other things competing for their attention, Gary, like the false church.
Propaganda. Propaganda will abound after the rapture. In fact, it's going to be hard to tell the true from the false. And that's one of the advantages of this information kit.
That's right, because they will see that certain biblical prophecies, and namely the rapture itself, have found fulfillment specifically the way that the Bible said they would happen. The details are exact and precise.
Right.
And it's going to add the credibility that they need to know that that really was the rapture. I need to understand what's coming, what the biblical prophecies are that are relative to my time now after being left behind. Because one of the individuals who may come for the box is going to be going, I believe that was the rapture, but there are other competing views out there. Matter of fact, there's still a professing church out here, harlot world religion's got a Christian veneer, right? And they're gonna that harlot world religion may be saying things like, that wasn't the rapture. They may be misquoting scriptures. I'll read a couple they might even misquote. For instance, Psalm 37, 10 and 11 says, "Soon the wicked will disappear, though you look for them. They will be gone. The lowly will possess the land and will live in peace and prosperity," alluding to them, and the others were left and were taken away. Proverbs 10:30 is another good one. "The righteous will never be removed, but the wicked will not inhabit the earth." So see, they could be hearing these conflicting signals going,
right.
I thought that the church was taken, but here's the church saying this, right? Then there's also the satanic argument that's liable to be dealing with. We had to get rid of those Christian fundamentalists. They were closed-minded. We took them somewhere. Don't worry, we're processing them somewhere out in the universe so we can usher you in. Remember, Satan's going to have unrestrained supernatural deception taking place after the rapture.
And a Christian fundamentalist is, to someone outside the fold, that's someone who reads the Bible and believes it. That's all you need to do to be a Christian fundamentalist.
Right, and this person may say, are you saying that my mother or my loved one that got raptured was wicked? It's like, well, we're already hearing this right now. The Christian fundamentalists are pretty much from the worldviews, we're a problem. We're preaching wickedness and things like that. So that will be part of the argument, I think, that they have to deal with when they get left behind.
Just sitting here talking about this, as many years as I've studied and written about these things, it's still hard to believe that we're that close. But when you look at the world, Bill, and you and I have had this conversation, you see all the signs, every one of them. And we do believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. A loving God is not going to put us through a series of tests that are designed for unbelievers. It's just that simple.
Right, and the other good thing about this kit, Gary, is after the rapture, censorship will be at an all-time high.
Absolutely.
You won't be able to get on your YouTube links and things like that. There probably won't be any online Bible applications.
Right.
We need to be able to give someone we love something tangible, a book or a DVD that they can read and get through things like that, because they'll be searching high and low. But here you go, get this, and you can see what's coming and how to prepare for it and how to survive through it.
Yeah, you just planted an idea in my head here, because after the rapture, you start looking for Christian information on the web. You'll find Christian information, but it'll all be false.
Right.
There'll be a lot of false propaganda.
A lot of more fake news, right?
Absolutely. And this is already a well-perfected technique in our society. And think of what they would do with the church having departed. Think of what they will do to confabulate and to confuse all of these ideas that would basically, at their heart, they're simple ideas of the love of God and how to become saved. But a few little wrong placements of verbiage, and suddenly you got propaganda that scares people to death.
That's right. The good news is, I'll speak directly to you right now, if you're a believer and you're concerned about a loved one in your sphere of influence, in your family, your friends, there's a lot of people who get saved after the rapture. The 144,000 witnesses, there'll be 2 witnesses in Jerusalem. There'll be an angel with the everlasting gospel. There will be Christian works, tangible products like this kit that will be left behind to help navigate your loved ones through. But it will be a perilous period. They will need to learn about Jesus. This kit will get them to the Lord, and they'll get them through the tribulation. That's our goal.
Bill Salas, thanks a lot for being here and for producing the Spiritual Survival Kit. It's a great product. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm Gary Stearman. Hey, you keep watching. We are.